Hello, you hottie hot hotties. Welcome to Wild&T with Tara.
Teddy.
Tawny.
And the dad, Mark.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, since you scuba dived, and you also worked on oil rigs, why did you ever consider doing like underwater welding or any of like the higher level diving because
Oh yeah,
of where you're working?
I actually wanted to, and I asked to be, and they said you have to have 2 years in, and you got to have training, and they just went on and on. You have all these things, and I wasn't planning on staying around for 2 years at that point. I was just earning money to go to college, back to college, and I did, and it paid for the rest of the year for me at college. That's why the next summer I went also in '81. I went and worked on a workover rig in Colorado. Actually, I got the job in Vernal, Utah, and they moved us. Well, technically, they shipped us over to Rainsy, Colorado, and then said, "Okay, cool. Now everybody on this rig is going to Grand Junction." And I'm like, "Okay, well, I have family down there. I'll stay with them while I'm down there." And so I was the derrickman on that job, and I was a roughneck on the offshore rig. There's an offshore inland or to inland barge, so but I got to work on a bunch of different rigs down there, and even had some really scary things happen and amazing things. And one day, the derrick on our rig was about 194 feet tall, and one day in a storm, the derrickman, the top board derrickman, missed the latches, missed the elevator, and didn't get the latches closed. They started to raise up because they just had this rhythm that they would go through, and the operator pulls it up, the latches popped open, and this 140-foot long drill pipe, drops down.
No!
Oh my gosh.
Yes, and I'm on the floor. What was operating? I was the top hand derrickman, top hand roughneck, and so I was the guy who threw the chain all the time, and I was the chain hand and whatever. So by attrition, I was number one on that spot, and that thing dropped down, boom, and bent like a big noodle. And I looked up, and Johnny, he was the older guy who was the top board derrickman. He couldn't reach the pipe. And the guy who was the middle board derrickman, what was his name? Anyway, he was holding on to one of the legs, just crying. He was scared to death. And so it's a crazy storm. Wind was blowing really wild. So I ran around, got on a ladder, climbed a ladder really fast, about 100 feet, where what's his name was at. And I knew he had no experience, but he told them he did, so they hired him. And like, seriously, I wanted that job.
Yikes. When that gets called in.
Yeah.
When you lie on your resume.
So I didn't have the harness or any of the safety stuff on to get up there because it was already up where these guys were at. But I climbed up there, and they're yelling at me from the table, and get down. What are we gonna do? Seriously.
He goes full Tarzan mode.
Yeah. It was fun.
Golden Gate Bridge.
Even when I came down the ladder afterwards, I just grabbed it and slid down, which was really cool because I learned how to do all that stuff. But I walk out
Only
there.
in a terrifying situation will you find something cool. Your adrenaline must have been going.
It was totally. I made up there in seconds, actually. So then the pipe was on the other side of the derrick, and it was, like I said, it was kind of in an arc doodle like this. But there was at that point there was an I-beam I think it was a 6-inch I-beam that ran across, and so I walked out on the I-beam. I didn't have any harness on or anything. Put my arm around the pipe and then kind of walked back and pulled it back in place, and then they were able to latch it and take care of it again. But
This 1,000-pound pipe that you just casually stroked.
yeah, well, it was stormy. But and then the kid's like, "Thanks, man. I was so scared." I said, "It's okay. That's when I claimed off. And then I got chewed out when I got to the bottom. You should have a harness on. Like, yeah, they had all the harnesses up there. What I'm supposed to do?
Yeah,
And one guy's grabbed on the leg and he's not moving at all. So
Yikes,
I was
that's
prepared
terrifying.
to sue. Don't worry.
what was the rest of that question? I can't remember.
That was it. You answered it.
It was
Yeah.
welding. Yeah. So I heard welders made like $250 an hour. I'm like, okay, I can do that. I was making 8. It was probably not $250 an hour, but I was still bringing home, working 3 weeks, like $3,200 every month. So
Um,
that was
Nice.
a lot of money back in those days. My older brother Matthew says, "You think I should go down and get a job?" I said, "No." I said, "Why not?" I said, "Because you're married and you have a family. It's too easy to die down there or get
yeah,
hurt."
I've heard that the underwater welding is so dangerous.
Yeah, it was cool. I mean, I met a lot of interesting people, and another story I'll tell you real quick. We had moved the rig. We had to level out the derrick so that it was perfectly level, so it wasn't leaning one direction or the other. So when they got the rig set, we had to get and put this little tiny flat hydraulic jack underneath the corner, underneath each leg until we had it leveled out. And the guy who was the pump guys that ran the pumps. And so he started making these comments to me, very vulgar comments. I jumped up and I grabbed him by the front by the shirt and jerked him toward me and pulled my fist back and I swung as hard as I could and I stopped just right as I touched his shirt. He's like,
Oh my gosh.
That's terrifying.
and the operator was standing there and the company man was standing there and the supervisor was there and they're like, this kind of smiling. And this guy's name was Joey. Yeah, his name was Joey. He's like, I can't believe it. A Christian man like you take a swing at me. I said, don't ever talk to me like that again. Ever. He never did. He was very respectful for the last, 2.5 months I was there, and it's all good, and nobody said anything.
Respect and fear.
Yes.
That's a fine line to toe.
Intimidation.
What's the quote? I'm a Christian, not a saint.
I'm a count, not a saint.
I'm a count, not a saint.
Yeah. Anyway, that was a really interesting experience. Learned a lot there, but my dad was afraid I would never go back to college. He says, you like the money too much, you'll never go to school. No, I didn't like the atmosphere. I mean, I could have stayed there and made a career out of it, but I love the food. The food was really good in Louisiana,
But the passion for gaining knowledge is a
yeah,
much bigger draw for sure.
it did affect me enough that I wanted to be in the oil business after that. But I wanted to be my own boss with my own company. And so when I got to California, and it turned out I wasn't going to be a farm manager, I'm like, yeah, I met another guy who was a geologist, and so he's telling me all this stuff, and I'm like, yeah, I can do that. We can make this work. And so that's how I got into oil and gas after that. Wish it had turned out better. 27 years in the business. I want to go back to it.
I mean, you could. You have lots of expertise, so you are an expert in that field.
Yeah.
Kind of, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
None of us have 27 years of experience for anything. So.
Living and breathing.
Attempting life. Let's get into some more hobbies.
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
So we have touched base on a lot of the different hobbies that clearly we as daughters have taken from our parents, with the scuba diving, with the traveling, with raising animals. So what would you say, Dad, would be your favorite hobby? You know, like a hobby that you either do a lot or would like to do more.
Oh dear, choose one.
Currently.
Good
Good luck.
I only get to pick one. Shoot. So the whole reason I went into oil and gas is because I want to make enough money to buy a ranch and retire in a ranching farming business. But still, even though I love that, I think it would be mining, rock hounding and mining, funny stuff. Because that's just so cool. When I was, Tara knows the story, you guys know the story. When I was at BYU, I was up in the canyon because I love to go up in the mountains and run around up and down the mountains. And it was really taxing, but Yeah, I was healthy and very athletic, and I could do it. I'd run when I was hunting. If I shot at a deer and I got it, I'd run down the side of the canyon, up the other side of the canyon until I found the deer, and then take care of business. And one day I was up there just getting ready for the deer season, and I was walking up the side of this canyon and went over a ridge, following a deer trail, and up ahead I could see this bulge. Turned out it was like a geode sticking on the side of the mountain, and it was sticking out of a shale slide. And look at this deer trail, and it goes right to that big rock and disappears. And I could see on the other side from the angle I was at, it came out the other side. That is really weird. So I went over, followed the deer trail across that slide area, got to that big rock blowout, and it was like a giant geode sticking off the side of the mountain. And it was about, I don't know, it was maybe 8 feet wide, 10 plus feet tall, and it had a walkway from one side to the other. You could walk through it and see outside, and the entire interior was lined with about 3 or 4 inches of crystal on the inside.
Rainbow caverns.
Yeah, so I used to go there. I went there 4 or 5 times while I was still going to school, and I was hoping nobody ever found it. And then I thought, I should go get that. But I've never been back. I tried to take care of it there one time, but my back was too bad, and my health was not my health. My physical shape was not good enough. So I'm working on that now. So,
but it is a constant thing. We literally look at rocks, end up finding, interesting specimens practically everywhere we go. We always have. It's just been like a constant hobby that we just do naturally.
I actually totally had a dream last night where I was out snorkeling and I found these really, really cool rocks. I had a dream about it.
We dream about it. We eat it, breathe it, dream it.
So my grandfather Hanson, my great grandfather was big into mining. It was one of his hobbies, and at one point he had owned or controlled probably close to half of the mines in the Western United States. And so he had, including the Comstock mine, but he had copies at home. He had notarized, certified copies from the county recorder's offices. He had them in his house. His house burned down, and everything went down with it. And so I was like, why don't you go get that stuff again? He goes, the Lord doesn't want me to have it, so I'm not going to worry about it. And so my grandpa Hanson, his oldest son, he loved mining. So that was one of his favorite things to do, was to go rock hunting and try to find minerals. And he actually had some really interesting things. And he told me about a story one day that he had met this old Paiute chief there near where he lived. And the guy said, yeah, back when I was a young man, there were 2 miners here that found this really huge gold deposit. And so we told our chief and our medicine man, the medicine man says, you got to go take them out. So we went and killed them and buried them, threw them in the hole, and then buried them, and then ran sheep over it so that no one could ever tell that there was a mine here.
Wow.
Like, why? And he said, so he told my grandpa, he says, the Great Spirit wanted it to be covered up, and when he comes back, then it'll be time for to take it out again. Okay, why don't you tell me what this is out, Grandpa? I was only 5 years old, so
I'll be the keeper.
Argue with the Great Spirit. I wouldn't argue with Spirit.
So, collectively as a group, why are hobbies important to have?
Because they're ways to not only express your interests, develop your interests, learn things that you really wouldn't have thought about before, and then you can apply them to other parts of your life and understanding. So.
Absolutely. I feel like it adds facets to your life
and depth.
Multifaceted, like a diamond in the
And
sky.
Is that we all, I mean, you and Mom have 7 children, and we all have similar hobbies, but we also have our own very different hobbies.
Right.
So interesting that even though we all grew up in the same household, we all grew up, doing the same things, we all are very different people anyway. And it's just kind of fun to see how everybody's hobbies kind of, I don't know, like help each other or are just fun to like hear about or like have stories about. So I mean, like personally, I like to country dance. And it's not something that I ever grew up doing. I didn't dance. I was a gymnast. And it was something that I actually learned in Hawaii when I met one of my best friends. And that was something that we did all the time. And it's something I still enjoy doing now. And Tara and Teddy can tell a little bit more about their personal hobbies too.
Well, and the thing that's cool about the hobbies also, especially within our family, is it is a way to connect with other people. And even with each other's hobbies, I think we really support each other's hobbies as well, even if we're not directly involved with them. I mean, support is in like, oh, you do that? Can you do that for me? Kind of.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tony, our sister is so good at really including us in her hobbies the way that we want to be included. And, and she does the same for us. I think one recent hobby that I've developed in 2020 is I have some really super nerdy friends, and I feel like I'm nerdy, but I'm not like all nerds nerdy. But I started playing Dungeons and Dragons as a hobby, and the dice that they make for this stuff is so cool. Like, I'm not gonna lie, like D&D dice is really, really fun. But yeah, that's like it's a very, very nerdy hobby. No one else in our family has it, but but I think it's a lot of fun, and it's a way for me to meet new people and to, build closer friendships with the friends that I do care to be friends with.
Yeah. Nice.
Making me realize that I do more solo hobbies.
Fly home, buddy. I work alone.
I was like, how can I isolate myself more through hobby?
I took my geology and rock hounding to another level by learning to facet, cut stones, and metalsmith is what I've been doing since 2020, really. My uncle and my cousin are involved in that, and they help teach me. And then I think another big hobby I have is archery, which I was thinking about it, Dad, and I was like, where did that come from? Like, where did that start? I feel like it was just like always there. And where did it get its peak? Like, how did we get to the peak of like archery?
I don't know. I got a bow when I was 12, and really nice recurve for that day, and I just wore that thing out until by the time I was 15. So that's part of my strength training, and that went on intentionally, but I did. I was pretty good at archery, so I would take it also out and pull it as far back as I could and shoot as high as I could, and then watch it come down. My goal was to get it straight up and down as possible and not get hit. So I did that, and then I broke it when I was 15 because I was pulling too hard, and I got too strong and pulled it beyond its capacity. So then I would, whatever I came across the bow, I'd go shooting with it. And then also on my mission, there was this lady that I met there in Hooper, interestingly, and she had a sports shop, and her husband had passed away, and she gave me a choice of the bows that she had there, among other things. Plus, she had a lot of fishing gear. But I think that's my interest in archery is just along with my interest in Native American and Native America.
There was a time that I feel like we shot a lot in archery. Like I know I had a bow, Dallas had a bow,
Right.
And it was something that we did all the time. Like I even had a little like race guard thingy, and it was something that we did like, if not weekly, daily, and
Regularly, yeah. Anyway.
yeah, it's something we did all the time, and it was fun. I don't know why I stopped doing it, but I don't have a little mini crossbow that I haven't even done anything with yet, but I want to.
Yeah, Taryn said, I want a bow for my birthday. I said, what kind you want? And you want a recurve or you want a compound? Because I want a recurve. So I went down and found this really nice bow and got her that. So I would have got you guys whatever you wanted back in those days because that was your interest. So, and I try to do that as much as possible.
Yeah, I feel like that's another thing too, is we were very fortunate and blessed to grow up in a household where you guys really did support our hobbies and our different interests, even if it was only for like a year, a season, or whatever it was. It was something that you guys really let us explore.
So you were very encouraging parents in broadening our knowledge and experiences with different hobbies and sports and clubs and stuff. And and yeah,
Why not? Yeah, why not? Exactly. How often do you get to do something like that? Because sometimes you get old and you can't do it anymore, or your circumstances change, and you either use that or develop something else, or you raise chickens, build stuff. Pet chickens with pet chickens, and or like Teddy goes in and she's learning law, which I really, really, really try to do, but I just couldn't do it because it's so contradictory to what I want to do in life. Kind of what I was dealing with versus what I wanted to be. So
yeah, it's a hard one.
Yeah, but I really still love the rock hounding and going to Topaz Mountain with Tara and finding actually these amazing crystals. Your mom and I are there, and
shout out to Uncle Brad.
Yes.
And the Diagrammer family.
And Tara finding the amethyst out there and going to that. And then that Matt finds basically that beautiful, there's an agate that was bouncing off of being an opal. So it was beautiful. And then I said, let me hold on to that for you so don't lose it. And he said, well, I want it back. I said, okay, here it is. Don't lose it. A couple days there, I lost it. I'm like, oh, you gotta be kidding me.
Okay, this is one of the reasons why for Christmas I got my friend Allie a tiny house treasure box for her kids because they're always finding really cool rocks. Like I've seen some of these things that they found and they lose them immediately. So it's like my way of being like, put it in this treasure box and don't lose it until Tara verifies if it's worth keeping or not.
Yeah. It's just like
even when I was visiting Tara in Michigan, she had us on a rock hunt for Petoskey stones.
Yeah, I did. The shore, and I was like, look for Petoskey's.
So we're all glued to the rocks the whole time. Well, to kind of wrap up our episode a little bit, I do have another fun fact about Dad that I want to share. So this May is the 40th anniversary of Mom and Dad's wedding day.
Yay!
40 years.
40 years. And so very blessed. I mean, just look at us daughters.
Yes. You're blessed and you're part of the blessing. So you guys get blessings back. We just need to keep doing more cool stuff. Seriously.
Yeah.
Also being an annual thing or a semi-annual thing at Madeira. I was in Madeira. At the reunion.
My annual.
Yeah.
We're all working our way closer back, so maybe it could be semi-annual.
For real.
Biannual.
Also,
Biannual.
just based off of all of the stories that we hear from Dad, I think that Dad would be, if he was an animal, he'd be like a mountain lion, some sort of large cat, because he's packed like 9 lives in his one life. It's just, it doesn't even sound like the same person is going through all of these experiences. So very
I'm like, when did you do this?
astounding. Yeah, we still discover new things after 30 plus years about our own father and our mom too. And it's just we're grateful for it. It's a lot of fun.
The gift that keeps on giving.
Yes.
So I kind of my philosophy in life is I used to hear people talk about the things that they would do, and I found out later on that they were lying and they were exaggerating. They're saying, "Oh, I did this and I did that," and they never did. But I thought, "Oh, that's really amazing. I should be doing those things," and so I wasn't afraid to do them. And people would say, "You never did that." Yeah, I did. Well, we were always lying. What? I thought you were telling me the truth.
Dad thought story embellishments were truth. And so he's like, I'll try that.
Yeah, I can go to that extreme.
Didn't know
That
about
sounds-
lying on the resume yet.
So that's why I did all these outlandish things and extreme things and whatever, because I thought that's what we're supposed to be doing, not just making them up. So, and they happen anyway, whether you want them to or not.
Yeah.
So, how are you going to deal with them?
So what you're saying is
Or
those
peer
crazy
pressure.
stories, make sure you actually live them if you're going to tell about them.
Yes,
Ooh.
because truth is stranger than fiction, actually.
Because if you tell fake stories about how you got your scars, you will hurt yourself.
Oh, we're not going to open that can of worms today, Teddy. We'll get to that one later. But with that little nugget of knowledge, this has been Wild&T with our guest star, Dad. Love you. Bye.
Love you.
Bye,
Bye.
guys.
Love you, bye.
Okay.
Thank you for listening to Wild&T. This podcast episode was produced and edited by Teddy Chanpoon, Kyron Maciel, and Dallas Hanson. Remember to subscribe, rate, review, and of course, share with your sisters. For more content, you can follow Wild&T on all platforms or our individual socials. See you next week.